Hello and welcome to another episode of A Day in the District. I'm your host, Chelsea Whittington. A Day in the District is a program designed to help you, the viewer, stay connected to your Gary Community School Corporation. Today, I am so delighted and excited to welcome two of my colleagues and friends who are more of the people that you have met who keep the district going strong. To my immediate left is Shalanda Robinson.
Yes.
And she is our new co-director of federal programs. And to her left is none other than Corinne Rensch, who is our new director of facilities. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
I was so focused on making sure I got the names and titles right, and now we can get into the nitty gritty of things. People probably have been reading in the news, you all have been trending about assuming these roles, but they didn't come about just matter of factly. You all have actually been in these departments working and making a difference in the district for some time now,
Yes.
and in this field in particular. So I will start with you, Ms. Robinson,
Yes.
also known as Shay.
Yes.
Please tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and what were you doing prior to coming to this amazing school district?
Sure. Again, thank you for having me. And I was born and raised in Gary, Indiana. I went to Luwalis,
Okay.
graduated in 1990.
All right, that was a good year.
Yes, it was. And so prior to coming to the district, I worked in an area where I dealt with adults with intellectual disabilities.
Okay.
And with that, I was the compliance officer. So working in that particular field, I had to deal with regulations and state funding. So coming back to the district after being out for a minute, I was here in 2005
Okay.
to 2011. I started out as a sub-secretary and worked my way up through to payroll department. And then when I came back in 2020, I became the federal programs coordinator.
Okay.
And working in this department, I've been able to deal with finances.
Okay.
And that has been a lot of my background is
Okay.
dealing with financial.
Okay.
And so being able to come back to the district after being gone for a minute, it's just been a delight
Yeah.
to come in and to see the facility where I was and where I have gotten my education, and then to be a part of being able to help the students be able to gain that same education that I had to get me to this point where I am right now.
Oh, what a wonderful introduction. I will say that you and I have something in common as far as that full circle. More than 20 years ago, I served as the director of public relations for the Gary
okay.
schools back in the 1990s, early 2000s. And so to be able to circle back to welcoming arms, I might add, because the district always welcomes us back. So I thank you
Yes.
so much for being here.
Thank
and
you.
you said the magic word that made Corinne's ears perk up. And you said to come back to the facility.
Yes.
And Corinne is all about our facilities. There isn't a
Absolutely.
building, a nook or cranny across this district that she probably hasn't crossed. And I love that about her and your enthusiasm about making sure that things get improved, fixed, replaced, whatever it is. Corinne,
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about your background.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, absolutely. Facilities is in my bones. I have been in facilities coming out of college, basically. I worked a little bit with Walmart Supercenters down in Memphis, Tennessee for 10 years, in 5 states. Came back to Illinois, where I'm from, and worked for Aramark, Chicago Public Schools. Got to see quite a few of those schools and
Sure.
learn a little bit about deferred maintenance, maintenance
Just a little
issues.
bit.
Went over, started with ABM in Lake Ridge, which is only about 5 miles down the road. What a difference 5 miles makes.
I know.
And then came over here, and I'm delighted to be here. And I'll tell you why.
Is it your team?
My
I
team.
knew it. I knew it.
My team. If ever I get a time to just rave about them, I have to, because I inherited an amazing, amazing team who are so passionate about what they do. I am impressed every single day by just all of their dedication, their loyalty, their hard work, their ambition. They are dedicated to these students. They are dedicated to trying to do everything they can on a daily basis, and it shows.
I love that, and I'm sure they take their cue from their fearless leaders. It's just amazing to be able to be in the district at such a time as this. I'm going to go back to you, and I'm just going to put it out there. When you mentioned the word finance, that was a major pain point, if you will, in our community, coming from a public relations side,
Yes.
community outreach side, keeping my ear to the ground.
Yes.
People were very concerned, and so were our employees over the years, concerned about our finances, being in the black, being able to make payroll, being compliant with our grants and things like that. Before we go to break, talk a little bit about what federal programs, the role that federal programs plays in our financial scenario.
Sure. Well, the role that the federal programs plays is exactly what it says. It's federal programs. And we get that funding from the state, and that allows us to be able to assist the district in whatever activities or expenses that are needed to help our students to succeed. Whether it may be in the beginning where we went through the pandemic, where the students were at home and they needed Chromebooks so they'd be able to do their work from home, hotspots. We provided that for them. We've also, during the pandemic, when they came back to instruction, that we were able to give them masks, PPEs. We made sure all of that was available for the students.
Doing all that
yes,
stuff.
we made
I
sure
would just
everything.
see the boxes and feel like, hey,
yes,
we got
that
masks.
was us. That was us. We wanted to make sure that we were in compliance, as you said before. We had to make sure that we stay in compliance with the federal rules and regulations. And now, as you mentioned before, that we have the facilities, working with Corinne and her group, we all work together. And as she said, as a group, that we're able to make sure that the district thrives and survives, and then we're able to have a good facility for our staff and for our students so they can have that education and they're able to learn in an environment that is conducive to them, and that way they won't feel so overwhelmed,
Yes.
and they can feel comfortable and be able to learn, and they won't be apprehensive when they come into the building and learn.
Perfect. When we come back, we're going to dive deeper into those pockets and buckets of money that we have, and then connect it over to facilities and all the amazing improvements that are taking place right here in your Gary Community School Corporation. You are watching A Day in the District. I'm your host, Chelsea Whittington. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will be right back after this break. Stay with us.
When you join the Army, the first thing they teach you is how to get in line. Not exactly the same in high school. When I enrolled in Westside Leadership Academy and joined ROTC, the first thing I learned was respect. Not just for God and country, but for myself.
Gary Schools, strong, resilient, built for education.
Welcome back to A Day in the District. I'm your host, Chelsea Whittington, chatting with my superior colleagues, Shay Robinson and Corinne Rensch, talking federal programs, talking facilities. And I think we are in class today, so to speak, because my goal for having the two of you on is, of course, to congratulate you on your roles, but also to help our viewers to understand when funds come into the district, how they are used, and what we are obligated to do in order to stay compliant. So I'm going to go back to you, Shay,
Yes.
to talk about some of the different grants that we receive. I know COVID was a special situation,
Yes.
but there are some things that are renewable that
Yes.
come around every year. And
Yes.
if we get it right, we get more or we get continued. Talk about how that
Yes.
works.
Yes. Well, as you stated, we had the COVID grants. Those were 3 different buckets that we had received, and those were called the ESSER funds.
Okay.
And that was for the elementary, secondary, schools, education relief fund.
Okay.
So
I don't
those
think I ever knew what ESSER stood
Yes,
for.
yes,
Thank
yes,
you.
yes.
See, we're in class.
Yes. So those particular funds were, you're able to use those that were dealing with the pandemic. And then also they put in that guideline that you're able, whatever you were able to use on our regular grants, which was like our Title I, our Title II, our Title IV grants, then you're able to do those same activities in our buckets of our ESSER funds.
Okay.
So those had that specific deadline. So we're coming up on the ending of our second grant. That will be ending in September of this year. And then we have our third bucket that will end of September of next year.
Okay.
So
So I want to emphasize, Shay, that these are not forever, everybody.
No.
And so because there were significant amounts, people always are saying, well, you have all that money, but that money is being spent wisely and by
Correct.
the law.
Correct.
And once this is over, it doesn't return.
it
right?
doesn't return.
Okay.
That is correct. But what does return is our Title I,
Okay.
Title II, and Title IV funding. Those we apply for every year.
Okay.
And then the process is that you have to go through a pre-application procedure. You have to let the state know exactly what you want to spend your grant fundings on. So we make sure that we speak with our stakeholders. We reach out to the community. We talk with our principals because they are there in the in
Boots
the
on the
schools.
ground.
That's right. They're going to let us know what their schools need, what their students need to be able to progress and be able to move along in the school district.
Well, that's a great segue over to you, Corinne, because those dollars flooded in. What did ESSER mean or translate into for facilities? Because I know we had to have desk screens and different things had to happen. The stickers on everything. The buildings had to be outfitted, if you will, for COVID.
Yeah, COVID was a big part of facilities. There was a lot more to it. We had to space the desks out properly. There's a lot of signage involved. And then the return, what I want to say about the return is it keeps returning.
Yes.
In that the investments that we've made will continue to help the district. Mainly the roofs were the biggest one.
Ooh,
We got
say it again, the roofs.
7 new roofs, and
Yes.
we desperately needed. One of my first weeks here, I walked down the surge, and there might have been about 30 different buckets
And we don't
in the
mean
middle
buckets
of the
money
surge.
either.
No.
And the water was just pouring into some of the classrooms. It was so desperate. So the money was really spent well. New roofing, new HVAC, better temperatures in the classrooms, controllable. The return will come on the efficiency of those units.
NIPSCO, sorry, not sorry.
So we're going to continue to work on those. We've also done some what I call just beautification.
Yes.
The football field, for example, we had to do that for our athletes. And if you haven't been out to the field, go check it out because it's amazing.
Yes.
I think a lot of people right now are talking about the theater because we got all new seating in the theater, new flooring, new carpet in the lobby. We
Yes.
painted the stage. It's state of the art.
Yes,
Yes.
and if ever there was a blessing in disguise, while we know that COVID was catastrophic, but I paused to think about had those funds not come through, where we would have procured them. I mean, I know we've applied for grants, but the magnitude in which these dollars poured in from a federal and state standpoint really allowed us to tangibly turn the district around. And for me, makes the selling points great for me because I invite people into the district all the time, and now the things that they are seeing are a result of the work
Yes.
of these two young ladies right here on the stage. So when we talk about compliance, Shay,
Yes.
talk about the penalties. What happens if we don't fill in the blank? X, Y. You know, I know that they say you have to meet the deadlines.
Yes.
So what kind of stresses are you under to make sure we keep our dollars?
Well, just to make sure, it's a lot of stress, but we just want to make sure that they give us strict guidelines. You have to make sure that whatever activities that you want to use the money on, that is an allowable expense.
Okay.
So we know that there are a lot of things that principals and schools they want to do. They want to show a teacher appreciation, but we want to do stuff for our students. But there are certain things that we are allowed to do and not allowed to do. So one of the biggest things are like gift cards. You want to give a gift card for a student or a teacher, but that's not allowable. So if there are expenses that we do and we send it to the state and they say that it's not an allowable expense, then the district has to repay that back.
Oh, wow.
So that's why we have to make sure that we follow their guidelines and then reimburse in time. We have to make sure that we send them the documentation and we're able to show that we are following whatever stipulations that they put on
Now, I can't
us.
believe it. We're almost going back to break, but surely you're not doing all this by yourself. You want to talk
No.
about your team?
I sure will.
Okay, give me about a 30-second spiel on your
Oh,
team.
I have a lovely team in my office. I have grant specialist Rosalind Brown. I have an administrative assistant, Amir Bowen Wilson. And then I have Miss Tony Mitchell, who works in there, who does the capital projects. We all are in there working from sun up to sundown. As soon as we walk in the door until we end at the end of the day, we're just giving our all, and we're all very passionate about what we do in there.
I'm sure they will appreciate you shouting them out as well as you, Corinne, shouting your team out. I know Tony, and Tony is all about making sure that
Yes.
those POs are paid, those
Yes.
orders are made,
Yes.
and that we go and inspect that end result is actually what we said is going to happen.
Yes.
You're watching A Day in the District. I'm your host, Chelsea Whittington. When we come back, we're going to talk about some more capital projects that are on the horizon and the improvements that you can expect from your district. Stay right there. We'll be right back.
I said I'd never join.
Thought living on sub would be too hard.
I figured only the weatherman tracks storms.
I said my job wouldn't matter. Never knew how strong I was. I never thought this would be my commute.
I figured I'd never get out of my hometown.
Or be the one who stops an attack.
Joining the Navy sounds crazy. Saying never actually is.
Hello, my name is Dr. Paige McNulty. I'm the manager for the Gary Community School Corporation, and I am pleased to be joined today with the Jackson 5 family members, Tito and Marlon Jackson.
Hi,
how are you? Thanks for being here today.
Not only are we members of the world-famous Jackson 5, but we are proud products of the Gary schools.
Growing up in Gary, our school system afforded great opportunities from academics to extracurricular activities.
And today is no different. This is why we encourage you to enroll your child in the Gary schools today.
For more information, please call 219-881-5466 or visit garyschools.org. And please remember, enroll in Gary Schools today.
Yes,
Right.
definitely enroll.
Gary Schools.
Strong, resilient.
Built for education.
Welcome back to the final segment of A Day in the District. And I'm still your host, Chelsea Whittington, chatting with Shay and Corinne, all things federal programs and facilities. And I wanted to take a step back to talk about your co-director, Nathan Williamson. He's down in Indianapolis, and he has a he comes to us from the Department of Ed.
Yes.
And has a great grip in his arms all around all those federal programs because he had a front seat to where the dollars were coming from. And so I wanted to make sure that I shouted Nathan out, who's still on the team, working on our behalf downstate. And so the two of you, I like to say, are a dynamic duo.
Yes, we are.
And then over here in facilities, Corinne, we have to send a big major congratulations to your predecessor, Barry O'Quinn, who went off into the green pastures of retirement. And wedded bliss, I hear. Congratulations, Barry. Life is good for him. And you have left the district in amazing hands. And if you want to say anything about Barry and how the two of you work together.
Oh, he did an amazing job with capital projects, especially set everything up. I've been here for about a year, so I got a chance to work underneath him, and he was a great leader. So I have tough shoes to follow.
Yeah, but you're doing it, I'm telling you. And speaking of great leaders, there was all the brainchild, I feel, of Dr. Paige McNulty, of making sure that when people are placed in these roles, you're just not placed, just thrown in there to swim, right? You've gotten the support, the leadership in Nathan, the leadership in Barry, to ensure that you do an amazing job. And that's what great leaders do. They set you up for success. So thanks, Dr. Paige, for bringing these wonderful ladies on board. Now, a little known fact, probably, Corinne, in your area, I just likened you off camera. Your team, you're like elves. You know, like when we go to bed for Christmas and then we wake up and the toys are all set up. Summertime is coming. School year is almost over. That's when the real work begins. Talk about what's happening in the buildings.
Absolutely. That's when we really do go to work. We have so many things planned for this summer. We have new digital signs that are going up that I just... I walked with them to set those in place.
Okay.
We are painting all the lockers, replacing the ones we need to here at West Side.
Nice. So you mean to say my old locker from 1980?
If you broke it, probably.
Yes. I'm sure it wasn't me.
We're going to be refinishing the gym floor at West Side, repainting that. I'm real excited about that, and that will kind of finalize the gym because it also got the new bleachers recently, so it's going to be kind of redone.
Yes, and it allows us to host these sports activities like today, our invitational track meet. People are coming from all around to run and compete, and that makes us proud. I think the students feel really proud when they say, come to our turf, literally.
That's right.
And compete, use our locker rooms, and just the things that you all do during even the Christmas break.
Exactly. There's
furniture.
There's no rest for us. We organized, made sure that they could come in and get new furniture in every school. Take out the old furniture, recycle that, and put in all this new furniture, which I guess had been quite a while.
Yeah, I think I sat on quite a few of those desks way back in the day. But I'm just so excited for the children. I happened to be in some of the buildings the first day back from Christmas break. And the looks on their faces, their expressions of that new furniture, again, it was like Christmas to them. And you all are making it happen. So I have to ask, from a personal standpoint, starting with you, Shay, did you think or did you plan, did you ever think that you would be in this line of work? What did you set out to do when you were walking the halls of Lew Wallace?
Well, when I walked the halls of Lew Wallace, I did attend the Career Center.
Okay.
And I went there for cosmetology.
Okay.
So when I was there, I was torn between coding and cosmetology, but I went out and did cosmetology work. But then it kind of like strayed a little bit from there. And then I just went into the business field, and it just seemed like everywhere I went, I ended up being in some financial aspect in business and being a leader. I myself didn't think that I was a leader, but others saw that in me. And I just continued to follow that. And when I got here and just saw what I can continue to do and what I can give back to the district and what I can give to the students, it was a no-brainer. I had to do it.
Well said, my colleague. But I will have to add, shameless plug for the Gary Area Career Center. Those skills that you honed from cosmetology, I'm sure they're still with you. That's the benefit of being able to go to the Gary Area Career Center. You can get those skills, keep them, use them as side hustles, if you will, in college, or change career paths whenever you want. So shout out to the Career Center. Corinne, same question for you. You said facilities was in your bones, so.
It definitely was in my bones. I went to Lewis University and played basketball on a scholarship there.
Nice.
Studied secondary ed. I was a sec ed dropout and said I don't want to teach. Worked with the homeless a little bit, but then found facilities and said this is what I was meant to do. I like to be the person that people ask things of. I like to feel needed, and I'm very needed.
Oh, definitely in this
Yes.
district. And so if individuals have questions, or you talked about us having the community to weigh in on projects and things like that, how do they get in touch with your department just to make inquiry about federal funds? Because we fashion ourselves as being transparent here in the district. And if people have questions, how do they reach out to you?
Well, they can reach directly to me. They can get my email. It's srobinson@garycsc.k12.in.us, or you can call the district's main line and then ask for Shalanda Robinson of Federal Programs, and I will be able to assist you and answer any questions that you may have.
I just love your energy for numbers because I'm sitting here like finance. Hachu, I'm so allergic to that. But again, we are all here for different purposes, all for the sake of children. And then for facilities, you all are in a different building. Where are you located?
Yeah, we're on Georgia Street, or Malcolm X. It's now Malcolm X, 3840. And it's a big warehouse. We store a lot of our material over there, so we need a little more space. But you can also reach me there. Same email, but C Rensch, RENSCH.
All right. Well, ladies, I can't tell you enough how proud we are of the role that you are both playing in the district's improvement, enhancement, and turnaround. So, ladies and gentlemen, when you go to the football field, think about Corinne. When you go to the auditorium and sit in those nice seats, think about Corinne and her amazing team. When you see all of the new supplies coming through and the great news articles about our budget being balanced and us getting more grants, think about Shalanda and her team, Ms. Robinson and her team, because together we work on behalf of children. And I just want to say thank you for all that you do.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
You have been watching A Day in the District. I'm your host, Chelsea Whittington. A Day in the District is a program designed to help you, the viewer, stay connected to your Gary Community School Corporation. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and also visit our website for updates on your Gary Community School Corporation. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
WSTG TV.